is January 6th, and these are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
President Trump issuing a pardon last evening for nearly 1,600 people charged, many of them in jail for the January 6th attack on the Capitol. That sweeping executive order also commuting the sentences of 14 members of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, most convicted of seditious conspiracy for that riot. Jonathan Turley, constitutional attorney here. Hello to you, sir. One of the more controversial pardons.
Thank you.
That we have seen. I'll get to the Hunter stuff and James Biden in a moment here. But with regard to this one, this is part of your book, Indispensable Right, when you talk about the troubling aspects of these cases. Today in the Post, you say the excessive treatment of some of the defendants undermine the credibility of their prosecutions. You study this, go ahead and explain it as you see it and understand it now, Professor.
Well, the Department of Justice really made the case for these pardons, and it was hard to do because most of us supported the people responsible for the riot being held accountable. It was a terrible day. But the Justice Department unleashed what one of its top lawyers called a shock and awe campaign, and they just scooped up hundreds of people. They often demanded really excessive sentences, in my view. Most of these people were charged with just trespass or unlawful entry. Most of them were not violent. The government tended to oppose bail. They kept a number of them for a very long time in segregation. In some cases, they demanded limitations on what people could say or read or associate after they were released. All of this tended to undermine their case. And so when the president campaigned on this issue, I think a lot of people wanted to see this chapter closed. And he certainly did that. I mean, this was broader than most people expected or even asked for.
Okay, that was one thing. Here was another thing. Apparently during the speech, that's when now ex-President Joe Biden pardoned many members of his family. And Chip Roy in Congress says implication is that they needed the pardon, so let's call them all before Congress and demand the truth. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but you write Biden abandoned any semblance of principle with these last-minute pardons. Go ahead and give us your read on that now.
Well, there's a reason he did this when he was literally going out the door. I mean, you do that in the final 15 minutes because you don't want press scrutiny. And it really sort of stripped away any pretense from any of this. He couldn't say this was because his son was an addict or a pending case. This was about protecting the Biden family. I've been writing about the Biden family for about 2 decades. And this is a city that really values insider influence peddling. It's the favorite form of corruption. But we've never seen anyone like the Biden family. They are in a league of their own. We're talking millions of dollars that ultimately went through various accounts from foreign sources. We're talking about a president who repeatedly lied to the American people, a media that enabled all of this to happen. And at the very end, he really fulfilled the worst stereotypes of his legacy. And I think that ultimately this is what will be the most lasting aspect of the Biden legacy, is this corruption. And this was an act of corruption.
So thank you for your time. I know it was short, but we've got a lot going on. Nice to see you, Professor.